Well, my name's Jenna, and I run Book Corner. It's an independent bookshop in Saltburn. I'm also a writer, so I guess my creative art form is books.
Yeah,
in general. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can. Do you want to tell people how they can get in touch with your bookshop?
Yes, I'm on 24 Milton Street in Saltburn by the Sea. Though obviously at the moment I'm shut for lockdown, as you know, as we speak. But I do have a website, bookcornershop.co.uk, and I've recently launched an online shop. So now people can order books from me online. I'm also on all the usual social media. I'm on Twitter at Book Corner Shop. Facebook Book Corner Saltburn, and Instagram at Book Corner Saltburn as well. So you can contact me on any of those platforms as well.
Fantastic, wonderful. And how are you coping with the lockdown with the bookshop? Is it going okay? You managing to keep going?
It's fine. I mean, obviously, when I had to shut back in March, it was a bit of a shock to the system because you know, I thought that basically that was going to be it for months. I wasn't going to actually sell anything. But I soon realised that the demand for books was still there, that my customers were still eager to get in touch with me. So I was able to offer like a delivery service locally and also post books out to people. And I've carried on doing that, you know, throughout being open again and now into the second lockdown. Yeah. And I'm also able to now obviously sell books online, and I've never had an online shop before, and this was the thing that spurred me on to finally do it.
Yeah. So without the lockdown you wouldn't have launched that online side of your shop?
Probably not. I mean, I might have done eventually. It was always something I'd sort of put off because I mean, it wasn't really something I knew a great deal about, and I was worried that it would be too much work for one person because I'm running the shop on my own as well. But I sought some advice from people in the Booksellers Association, which is my trade body, and it sounded much simpler than I thought it would. And there was lots of people, and I finally got like a designer to help me set up the site, and so I'm really glad I did it, but no, I probably wouldn't have done it without lockdown, at least not for maybe a couple of years.
Yeah, I suppose that's a positive then, isn't it, that you can take from that?
Yeah, I think it is a positive. Yeah,
expanding without because of necessity. When and how did you first get involved in writing and opening your bookshop?
Well, writing, I always loved writing as a hobby back in school. I wrote a lot of fan fiction, that sort of thing. And then while I was at university, I was studying theatre, and I got quite interested in the playwriting modules we did there. So I decided to do an MA in creative writing. I did that just a Teesside sort of basically. Books. I've always loved bookshops, and after I graduated I worked in a commercial art gallery for a while and found that despite being quite a shy person, I enjoyed working in a customer facing environment, which really surprised me. So I decided after that role ended that I'd like to have my own shop, and the only thing I could really think of selling was books, because that was something I was really passionate about, and I wanted to sell something that I was passionate about. I thought that was the only way I could really do it. So yes, I decided from there really.
Oh, that's fantastic. When did your bookshop open?
2014.
God, is it that?
6 years.
Is it that long? Yeah. Wow, I didn't realise.
Yeah.
I mean, every town should have a little bookshop, I think. So I think it just enhances Saltburn, really, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's, you know, a little bookshop everywhere. Yeah, that's great. What inspired you to do that? What inspired you to write?
Right.
Do you do much writing now?
Yeah, I do quite a lot. I mean, I've just finished a novel. Well, I'm on like the final round of edits for a novel. I've done a couple of like play scripts and adaptations of classics. a couple of little short plays, one of which was performed locally just down the road in Redcar. And so I've had a few little short stories published. So I've done quite a bit over the years.
You have then, haven't you?
But yeah, I mean, I've found I've managed to make quite a bit of time over the last year, because I thought that I'd, try and knuckle down, like particularly during lockdown while I wasn't at the shop all the time, and do quite a bit. I've just always written, really. I was particularly inspired by musical theatre. I'm not a singer or an actor or anything, but I like that form of storytelling. So a lot of my writing is inspired by that, and I think that's a way of expressing, myself, my interests in that way.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Musical theatre. So have you written a musical theatre piece, or is that one of your?
No, I'm not a musician. I'd love to be a musician, but I'm not. No, I've written a novel which is inspired by musical theatre,
right.
And I've written things in the past which have been inspired by ballet, and the theatre's a big source of inspiration for my writing, I would say. And but the bits I've written for performance have been very much, straightforward dialogue pieces where sometimes music's been included, but other people have had to do that.
Yeah. So who and what are your major influences and inspirations?
Well, musical theatre, so musical theatre composers, no one really trendy. I love Andrew Lloyd Webber, I'm not going to lie about it.
Oh, I think he's quite trendy in his own way, isn't he?
Yeah, I suppose so. Authors, a huge range, really. I love Gothic fiction. I also love sort of contemporary sort of rom-com type things. I love David Nichols. I think he's brilliant. I've recently been introduced to a wonderful author called Eva Ibbotson, who's most well known as a children's writer, but she wrote this wonderful series of basically romances, like historical romances for adults, and they're very much inspired by the arts, so music, theatre, fine art, and her characters are amazing. And so I love those, and I feel myself being a bit inspired by those more recently. So I like a whole mix of things, really.
Yeah, oh, that's fascinating. Musical theatre, who knew, huh? I mean, I do love it as well. I think it's got its place, hasn't it? Definitely in the creative art world. It's like, I don't know, just a joyous thing. So you had a formal education in creative writing then, you did an MA?
Yes, I did the MAT side, yes.
Have you got an undergraduate as well?
Yeah, my undergraduate is in theatre.
Theatre.
It was a BA. It was a degree, so it wasn't like it wasn't really a practical. I mean, I wasn't at a conservatoire or anything. But I did the BA at Hull at their Scarborough campus.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I did it there. It was very interesting. The emphasis was very much on the 20th century, so you didn't really do Shakespeare and Victorians, but you did a lot of 20th century, so the rise of the director and the designer, and the rise of like what modern theatre looks like, I would say. Yeah, a lot of avant-garde stuff.
Right, okay. Yeah, and then you did. So how long did you wait to do your masters after you'd done that?
I did it the following year.
Right.
So I finished in Scarborough 1 year, and then I did it the next term, really, I started, yeah.
Do you work alone, Jenna, when you're writing, or do you collaborate, or do you do a bit of both?
I mainly work alone. The only time I've collaborated was when I've been doing things for like my drama group, or but that's almost like I've been doing the writing, other people have been doing the other things. I've only done a couple of things. I mean, I've done some really nice things in the bookshop over the last few years, and because Canon Marcus, who's like she's a local novelist, she's been running writing workshops in the bookshop, and so she's been doing the teaching and I've been doing the hosting. and although they're on hold for a while and she's gone online, it was really nice to sort of collaborate with somebody who's an established writer, and also take part in the workshops at the same time. So that was lovely. So I do really like collaborating with people, and there's limited opportunities obviously when you work on your own. So it's nice to have that opportunity to do that.
So those workshops will probably come back once we get our freedoms back, I guess. Yeah, in your bookshop.
So I'd really love to have more writing workshops in the bookshop. I mean, I think the future's probably going to be a mix. Because I think one of the benefits of having things online is it gets in people who wouldn't physically be able to come, you know, for whatever reason, either they're too far away or they're inaccessible or whatever. And I think that's a really good thing. So I would hope that, I mean, I know it's no substitute for sitting around a table having a coffee and, you know, doing things like, you know, physically when you're physically there. But I think it would be nice to have a mix going forward, personally. Yeah.
We could maybe incorporate the online with the live, couldn't we? You know, like if we do a workshop, that somebody who can't physically be there could be there online, maybe. But maybe that's the way to sure that everyone's involved. Yeah. So where can we find your work? I know you've mentioned how to get hold of your bookshop. Have you got any work published?
I have, but it's all in quite obscure places. I'm not sure it's available anymore. I've been in two anthologies. One was published by Teesside University. It was by the Literary Society. So that was an anthology. It was called Through the Cracks. It came out in 2016. I'm not sure whether that's still in print or not. I think I've got one or two copies still myself. And then I was in an anthology a number of years ago published by English Heritage, and that was celebrating Whitby Abbey, Pure Inspiration it was called. So all of the stories had to have some link to Whitby Abbey, however slight. But again, that was a print on demand, so you may still be able to get that. But the last sort of 5 years or so, I've just been sort of plugging away at a novel, really. So I don't have a great deal to show for it other than like what's on my hard drive, really.
Is that? Are you close to? Are you any close to finishing that then? Your novel? How far away are you?
I think I'm quite close to finishing it. I've been through a few drafts, and I got Carmen as a mentor because she runs like a writing strategy service. Which was really helpful, so I've gone through another round of edits like on the back of that. So, but I think I'll probably have to do another one. I don't know whether these things ever really finish, to be honest.
A lifelong novel.
Yeah.
I know, but sometimes when you finish something, then when you do finish something, then you think, oh, I've finished that now. You know what I mean? It's like it gives you purpose, doesn't it, to keep writing it? Yeah. Anyway, good luck with that. I hope you get it done.
Thank you.
So why are the creative arts important to you, Jenna, personally and generally?
Well, I think, you know, I've always, you know, they've always been a great source of entertainment and joy for me. And that's probably the primary purpose of them for me. But also a means of creative expression. I think it's brought me together with a lot of people. You know, being probably the basis of my social life for many, many years now. And I think more generally, that's why they're important as well. I think they help establish connections between people. I think is the main thing for me.
Yeah. And we get to have lovely bookshops, don't we?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Yeah. So finally, lockdown. I know you answered a little bit of that earlier, but how has it been for you generally? And have you been more or less creative during it?
I've probably been more prolific, and I feel as though I've got more done on the writing side of things. When I had to close the shop, that was what gave me the impetus to actually seek out some help with the writing.
Yeah.
Because I felt as though I had a bit of extra time to do it. I mean, I realise I'm very lucky in that. But I think, you know, I think it's sort of, there's less things to inspire you. I mean, normally I'd be going out and, you know, visiting places and going to
yeah.
And you know, so it's been a, you know, that's been a bit of a negative. But I think in terms of doing work, it's been fine. And I don't know whether that's because I'm used to working on my own anyway, so I've always had to manage my own time anyway. Even though it was a bit of a shock, you know, at first, it was just a way of having to manage my time differently. Maybe I don't really know.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So that's been okay, and the shop has been certainly better than I thought it would have been, because as I said, I thought that was it for months. I was worried that I wouldn't actually sell anything. But you know, it's actually been okay, and going forward, it's made me realise I can take a bit of a mixed approach. I can sell things online and I can sell things in the shop, and it's helped me get in touch with other bookshops and publishers as well. And I think as a bookshop, you have a tendency, or at least I do, to be guided by the big releases and what gets a page in your buyer's notes catalogue, that sort of thing. But it meant that I felt as though bookshops in general were talking more to smaller publishers. I certainly think I was. And that made me more aware of interesting stuff that was out there that maybe would have fallen under my radar otherwise. So I think that was positive as well.
Yeah. And I think there has been, I think with the lockdown, it's kind of amplified little bookshops, hasn't it? There's been people encouraging everybody to not buy from the usual big places and go to the small bookshops. So hopefully that'll continue, I think.
Yeah, because, I mean, I hope so. I think there was, you know, more than anything, people were aware of this about, you know, saving the high street at a time. A lot of shops, you know, they had their physical premises closed down. So preserving the high street, and also realising that, you know, a lot of people in their own communities will be struggling, and maybe it's time to sort of support those communities rather than sending the money, you know, to a big company somewhere. So I think there was a strong element of that, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. So hopefully, well, I hope you survive the rest of lockdown.
Oh, thank you.
Are you finding this second one all right?
Yes. It's weird.
Isn't it?
I think that I mean, the problem with it for bookshops is obviously like a lot of other shops, it's our busiest time of year, or it would be normally. And I think that's going to hit a lot of us quite hard, which is a real shame. And I think at the moment there's so much retail open that it sort of feels a little bit unfair that, say, a supermarket can still sell, you know, a rack of books.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Can't sell that when it's our primary source of income. So I think there's something a little bit slightly wrong there.
I agree.
Even though I completely understand why we have to be shut and why we have to be careful. But yes, I'm hoping that it'll only be obviously for a month, and then we'll have a good December.
Yeah, I hope so too. So thank you very much, Jenna, for
thank you.
for telling us all about yourself, and I hope the rest of lockdown's okay for you, and I hope you have a great December in the bookshop.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
And I hope next year's good for you too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So honestly, thank you so much, and take care.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.